Good evening, everyone. I'm Beverly Buncher, and I'm the director of the BALM Training Institute for Family Recovery Services. Tonight, we're talking about our BALM Family Recovery Life Coach Training Program, and this is day 4 of the Coach Training Challenge. So I've already introduced myself. I'd like you to meet Lori Bolin, faculty member extraordinaire and coordinator of lots of things in our school. And Kathy Tracy, a recent graduate, and Dawn Lipstein, also a graduate. Robin Predny, moving in the direction of finishing her program. Faith Batt, moving toward graduation. Amanda Deane, almost there. And we are here tonight. And Joan, who is behind the heart. And Joan keeps us going. She keeps us running. Once you're in the program, you'll see that heart and you'll know that the heart of the program is here. Joan is here. She's watching over things, making sure everybody has what they need. We're here tonight to tell you about the program itself. And who better to do that than people who are in the program? And let's start with Kathy. Kathy, what brought you to this program? What made you interested in being this program particularly, not just any old life coaching program or any old family recovery program?
Why the BALM?
Why the BALM?
Well, I had an introduction to the BALM through a friend who I know through my 12-step recovery rooms that gave me kind of some interest. But what really brought me to the BALM was initially was a grief program that you offered. And I came because I had experienced a loss of my son to substance use. And I felt a calling to work with families. I wasn't sure in what direction I was being taken. So I took that course, and in through that course, I met you, I met Jen, I met Marisa, and I just really came to understand that this is where I was supposed to be, that in order to help families, I needed to get the training, and that the BALM program was going to be it.
It's beautiful. Thank you, Kathy. How about you, Rob? I'm going to kind of like, I'm going to say thank you and move on, but it doesn't mean that I don't want to cover you with hugs, pause, and just, but we don't have time. So I just want you to know that I'm sending you hugs and so thrilled that you're in this program. Every one of you, each have these amazing stories of what got you here. And I just love hearing them. So we're going to kind of zoom through it. Robin, go ahead.
Hi, I came to the BALM. I have twin sons who are young adults, and they have been struggling with substances on and off for several years. And I got to the point where a lot of things had happened, and I just took a look at myself and said, I need help. Like they might need help, but I need help. And I happened to read an article that you had written, Bev, for a newsletter called Mom Power, and it was all about being a loving mirror. And it really spoke to me so much, as opposed to the tough love method, because I find that very difficult to just say, I'm done with you, forget about it. I really believe there was another way, and you spoke to that way. And so I searched the internet looking for more about the BALM, and I bought your book and I read your book in 2 days because it just spoke to everything I thought was beautiful in the world. And then I called and found myself a BALM coach, Jen. And in working with Jen, I began to change the way I saw things, the way I dealt with my sons and the rest of my family. And I realized my whole life I had been doing these things, and the balm was helping me to actually change them, because I was submersed in this beautiful community of people who were all about peace and love and support in a way that made me feel like anything was possible. And it gave me hope I hadn't had. And when I experienced that transformation, I thought, I want to help other people experience this transformation. And so I asked my BALM coach, do you think I could do this? And she said, absolutely. And so that's how I came here. And I've really learned that, yes, anyone can do this, and the BALM will give you the tools you need to get there.
It's beautiful. Thank you. And how about you, Faith?
So how I came to the BALM was, well, first of all, I'm a person who's lived with substance use disorder in my family and mental illnesses so my whole life. So I've had mother, father, brother, cousin, all kinds of issues, suicide, all kinds of things that I've lived with. And as an adult, I tried to do everything differently in raising my own family to ensure that it wouldn't happen. You know, the buck stops here. Whatever I experience, that's the end. And my family's going to be different because I'm going to make it all better. And what happened was, I have twins too, by the way. When they were 17, one of them started spiraling out of control. Actually started a couple of years earlier, and I had no clue. And I was the kind of mother who was involved and on top of things, and I didn't know. My child was, using drugs, selling drugs, getting in really serious trouble with the law, life-threatening situations with gangs, things like that. So I was going to Al-Anon. I was seeking help, therapy, looking for help for my son mostly. And I just asked everywhere in the community. I went to organizations and agencies and my spiritual guides and people. And I just couldn't find the right help that I needed to help my minor son at the time. And so that's when a friend of mine, Debbie, her name is Debbie, she's in the program. She's been involved in this a long time. She's a lifelong friend of mine who I love dearly and trust. We grew up together. She told me, you need to get in the BALM. And I had never heard of it before, but whatever Debbie would say to me, I would trust and believe that she knows what she's talking about. She's been very involved in recovery work for a long time. And she knows me and my family intimately. So I got into it because of her. And I got into it as a family member, studied the program, started coaching also with a private coach who was also, I have to say kudos to Jen, like some others, because she was my lifeline and she worked with me for quite a long time. And after that was all done, I decided that I was going to get out of the miserable career that I was in. And it just dawned on me that this was what I was made for. And maybe I haven't recognized that in my whole life until now, that this is my mission and my calling. So to take my pain and turn it into something positive to help other families. So I'm done with the coaching program and ready to get started.
Amanda, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get in? We're sort of running out of time, but try to just get it out.
So I would say, unlike some of the others, I didn't think that I needed help at all. It was my husband who is the person with substance use. And I thought if he stopped using, then I'd be fine and our family would move on. And ended up finding a family meeting in my area. Colleen, who you said spoke at one of the earlier tapings, she was at one, and she stated that she was a family recovery coach. And I've never in my life felt like I've been hit by lightning like I did in that moment. I thought, oh my word, that's what I have to do. I want to do this. And she said it was with the BALM, and I had no idea what that even meant. And then I looked it up. And I just fell in love because that's the truth of it, right? That's the main point, is I loved my husband beyond any issue that he had, but I couldn't show him because I was scared, I was fearful, I was angry. And so all of these times I'm trying to get him to stop because I love him so much, but it's not coming out that way. And so when I was introduced to the BALM and realized that there is a way that I can help, because I was tired of everybody telling me there was nothing I could do and I just needed to let him go and let him do his thing and he'd find his route. No, I love him and therefore I need to do something. And so getting involved in the BALM, just realizing that you can learn a way that you can love your loved one and you can show them, and there is something that I can do that will positively affect him in what he's going through. It meant the world to me, and I've loved the BALM every second since.
That's beautiful, Amanda. Thank you. And Dawn.
After the suicide of my oldest son, I started working with an organization that I was doing basically grief coaching. And I'd been doing that for 8.5 years before I learned about BALM. And I learned through an email that Sober World had sent out. And my son, he died by suicide, but he was addicted to opioids. And he definitely struggled with that piece. In any case, I wanted to save lives instead of support families that are already grieving. So I saw this Sober World email that said, become a family recovery life coach. And I called and spoke to Alan Buncher, and he was amazing. And he said, you need to talk to my wife. And so I spoke to Beverly, I spoke to you the following day. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know anything about BALM, but I know that this is who I want to be. I want to be a loving mirror. And it truly, I embraced it. It was absolutely amazing. And it's helped me with my bonus daughter, who has struggled with substance use disorder as well. And our relationship is so much better after learning about the BALM and learning how to coach at the same time.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That is a really big thing that a lot of people share. Sometimes people are thinking of getting into the program, but they say, I'm still so messed up. I still have active addiction in my family. I'm upset all the time. I'm yelling, I'm screaming. How can I become a coach? And those folks, when they start, a lot of times they'll do their first part and they learn the BALM, and sometimes they get their own coach, and then they start their coach training and everything. It's sort of like they have their coach, they have the coach, the student coach, and it accelerates, it deepens, it makes the recovery journey amazing. Would anyone like to talk about in what way was the program transformational for you? Who would like to take that one? Okay, Dawn, go ahead.
So I found, for me personally, a new and improved self-confidence that I didn't have before. My whole belief system transformed, and it just helped me to have this level of confidence that I never dreamed I could have, to be able to become a coach and to be able to have a business of my own. And it's truly been, it's been great. So that's it in a nutshell.
That's beautiful. And Faith, I know you raised your hand. Can you give us the short version of this? So we'll have two people answer this transformation question. Oh, you're muted.
When I first came into the program, I guess it was going maybe 4 years ago, I was at the lowest point of my life, despite having, grown up surrounded by addiction and mental illness. When it happened to my own child, I was just really honestly brought to my knees. I was so desperate and so terrified. And it was just my worst nightmare was happening. And that's what brought me to the BALM. And I really, at that point, I felt like I had lost him, like our relationship that was once so beautiful and special was gone. And I felt like the worst mother in the world, and he hated me, and he left home, and it was just a whole chaotic situation. And I thought all hope was lost, honestly. I mean, I started going to Al-Anon, and then I came into the BALM. But what I found was over time, didn't happen instantly, but the changes did happen, and the transformation happened in me, and I changed. And you always used to refer to the power of one, and it was really hard to grasp that at the very beginning. But after several years, I can tell you there's a reality to that. And long story short, things have really shifted in my home, in my household, with my loved ones, and even others that are not in my household. We do have a more loving relationship. There's a calmness in our home. There's no screaming, fighting, cursing, banging doors down, no police, no, those days are behind us. And we have, we just have a harmony in our home, and an atmosphere of love and respect. So I'm so glad, and my children are living at home again right now, and we just have a beautiful relationship, and I'm so grateful.
It's beautiful. Wow. What about coursework? Does someone who hasn't spoken yet have a favorite course they'd like to talk about that meant the world to them? Yes, go ahead, Robin and Kathy.
Can I say every course? Because the thing I really love, and I'm in the middle of the program right now, but every course builds upon the one before. And so the beautiful thing about the course one was what Don spoke about earlier, is that there's this self-transformation. So you start out with really getting to know who you are and what your strengths are, what your values are, and really believing in yourself in a way that I hadn't before, and understanding who I am. And then they take you to course 2, which is all about, here's some tools you can use to help other people get to that same place. And then in course 3, where I am right now in the mentor coaching, it's like, here's this mentor leader who's going to help you embrace those tools and put them into practice so that you feel like, yes, I am a coach. And so the way that the program builds upon itself is transformational. And the whole time you're surrounded by this cohort, this group of people, and so quickly they have become just my lifelines, like people that I just turn to ask for suggestions or support all the time. And that's one of the things I love too, are the other people in my coaching cohort.
Well said.
I don't know if I can follow that. Robin touched on everything. I mean, your cohort becomes your family, and oh my gosh, the support that we give and receive with each other is just amazing. I can't think of one course over the other that to single out, because as Robin said, one builds on the other. I will say, because I came into the BALM not having gone through it as a family member, but coming into it for the coach training, knew that it was so, course 1 was truly transformational for me. Learning the whole concept of be a loving mirror, and learning about my strengths, and recognizing what really was inside me all the time that I didn't realize, and building my confidence, and really forging that that purpose that I knew I had, but it really helped become more focused through through course 1. The other thing I'll say is the 7 steps. You're required to take the 7 steps when you're in the coach training. And for me, the 7 steps was just amazing. And I have found that work transformational in my life, in my work life, with my family. I do also, like Faith, have a family background of addiction. So even though my loved one, my son, I lost to the disease, I do have others that are in recovery or quasi in recovery, and being able to work the BALM myself and be a loving mirror to them has been so helpful in improving family relationships.
Okay, so Amanda, would you recommend this course to other people? And if so, why?
Without a doubt. I think from what Kathy and Robin spoke on about the whole thing just being transformative for the person going through it and learning it, to realizing that I have this gift now that I can give a family who is struggling with this, an actual something tangible that they can hold on to, that can help them to move forward, that can help them with their loved one. It's not, I can't wait to give it away. I just can't. And I wish, when my husband was using, I wish I had this. I didn't know about it until he got into recovery, but I'll tell you that I think he's going on 3 years clean now. And I say that part of that is because of this program. I started taking this on. I started the transformation in my own life. I started focusing on me, and it gave him the space he needed to focus on him. And I would hands down recommend this program to anyone and everyone who has a loved one that's struggling.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that testimonial. Thank you all for your beautiful sharing tonight. And for those of you who are listening, remember, we have some very special bonuses for you. You're going to get an email inviting you to join the program, and you'll have the opportunity to take advantage of these special bonuses. So make sure you take a look at all these many videos and websites, anything you can find, and feel free to call. Our admissions rep, Karen, is available to you at 1-888-998-2256, extension 5. I'm available to you. Just call that same number, 1-888-998-2256. Let's talk about this. Good to see you all here. And remember, be a loving mirror. Bye.